I think any talk of the industry on doing that or quote unquote trying to put that genie back in the bottle, you're 10 years late to that fight. The consumer ultimately is in control.
Good morning. Welcome to another Motivational Monday. My name is Matthew Hodge, Executive Vice President here at LPT Realty, joining you from LPT headquarters here in Lake Mary, Florida on this Memorial Day. I'm going to bring in Robert Palmer, founder and CEO, who I believe is in Hutchinson Island. Is that where you are?
I'm
No?
not.
Where are you?
I'm on the northern tip of Captiva Island.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right. You're always jumping around. I gotta figure out where you're going these days. But looks
Okay.
lovely there. I'm excited to connect with you again this morning. How was your weekend?
Fantastic. Brought the girls down here late last week. We're actually going to head back later today. They've got school tomorrow, but I had a good little holiday weekend. Took the boat out, went over to Cabbage Key. Fantastic spot to get a cheeseburger, dock up, rolled around the Charlotte Harbor. Had a great little couple days.
Awesome, man. Happy to hear that. I know you've been traveling so much recently that you really got to be very purposeful with that family time when you do have those small windows. So excited that you have the opportunity to enjoy some beach life this weekend. We're going to jump right in. We're going to try to keep it a little bit shorter today. It being a holiday, we want to make sure that people have the opportunity to go connect with their friends and family and remember the day. So we're going to jump right into a market update. Over the last couple of weeks, we've seen things kind of jump around. The war has created a lot of instability, insecurity in the marketplace, and we're trying to understand what is happening now with all the different moves.
We stay in a holding pattern with rates. There's too many competing forces right now that are trying to drive rates in different directions. Look, we have gotten a little bit of good news. The new Fed chair has been confirmed. I think we have a headline about that. There's only so much he can do, though, right? We're staring down potential inflation increases. And while, Kevin Warsh is expected to bring down rates over time, he cannot cut rates in the face of inflation. He cannot cut rates in the face of uncertainty around this war in the Middle East. And, so I think we have to wait for things to resolve. We got to keep a close eye on it. There's been a lot of different headlines coming out about progress being made on, potential peace, potential ceasefires. I think that the wild thing is we continue to hear talk of traders about a potential rate hike. And again, I think if anybody had asked me that, 2 months ago, I thought I'd be clean shaven and we'd be talking about rate cuts. But here we are. It continues to give us more time to prep for Boomsday, to do the hard work, do the things we're focused on. The interesting thing is the housing market is being extremely resilient. Housing demand has stayed firm. Inventory is now close to negative year over year. There were a lot of headlines of people trying to jump on this idea that inventory is ballooning. Inventory is just getting back to normal levels. I mean, we're just, we're trying to dig out of this crazy market that was created by too low interest rates, a Fed chair making what I think were bad decisions during the pandemic to drive rates too low, locking home sellers in, creating a lack of inventory for home buyers, creating more of an affordability crisis. And, we've got to work through it. I think the interesting thing, though, is the fact that housing demand has stayed this firm. Had the war not broken out and we had gotten those interest rates we were seeing just 8 weeks ago, I think we would be fully immersed in the boom right now. So it's still coming. It's still out there. The people are losing the ability to continue to kick the can down the road. That's been one of the themes I've talked about a lot. And I think the fact that interest rates are now back higher than they have been and housing demand is staying firm is the clear evidence that the amount of time people can delay, the number of years that we can have at a 4 million annualized home sales pace, even without good rates, is starting to come to the end of the line. And so all of that, I think, is positive for the idea of this housing turnaround, this boom that I keep talking about, Boomsday coming somewhere in the near future, as soon as these darn interest rates will cooperate.
That's right. And, you talked about this a lot where, there's only so far people can push that decision out. And so maybe they are forced to finally, make a transaction in an environment where interest rates aren't as favorable as what they were hoping to be. Or maybe people are getting used to just this being in the environment. Do you believe one way is happening over another, or is it just a combination of those things that are kind of, you're seeing this?
A little bit of all of it, right? I think it all adds up. I don't think that we make binary decisions around, transactions like housing. I think all the little signals. I think one of the last things that we're fighting now is there has been, these headlines around a potential price crash, and the funny thing is, if you read the data, people are talking about like a 1% drop in home prices being a crash in price. Just because they're not going to go up crazy this year. That's the last little piece that will keep people on the sidelines, right? If home buyers believe that the market is going to crash or home prices are going to drop, which I'm not in that camp. There are too many people with ultra low rates, too many people sitting on mounds of equity, low payments. I'm not in that camp, but that headline is the last one kind of sticky out there that I think fits into people's calculus. Because ultimately, buy with any rate. And look, if rates do drop in the future, you'll refinance. If they don't, you'll be glad you bought with the rate you bought at. So we've talked about the powerful option that housing is, the mortgage is for the consumer. You decide when you buy, you decide when you sell, you decide when to refinance, but no one can take a low rate mortgage away from you. Trust me, lots of banks wish they could right about now take back some of those 2.5 rates they gave out in 2020 and 2021. But that is one of the most powerful options that we have as the average American consumer versus like a Wall Street hedge fund. And I think people are waking up to it, and we're going to see the market. The market cannot stay on this 4 million home sales floor forever. I'm shocked it stayed on it for 4 years. Maybe there's another year in it. I doubt it, but we just continue to look for those green shoots, as they call them, of positive housing activity. And this resilience in the face of sticky, persistent higher interest rates is a positive.
That's right. Well, we still got a little more time to do the work, so let's continue to put our head down and prepare for when the market starts to turn. I want to switch over to some industry updates. Again, this is not necessarily consumer facing as quite as much, or maybe it eventually leaks there, but more so in our industry. I know that there's been some wars going with Zillow and Compass and all these different things. Walk us through the updates and what we should know about that scenario.
So again, we told you if this became a bigger issue, we would go deeper on it. To me, it became less of an issue now. So late last week, MRED, the MLS in Chicago, cut off Compass's feed. A lot of brokerages continued to send listings to Zillow. We continue to send listings to Zillow. We believe that our home sellers want as much exposure as possible. Ultimately, after just a few days, a judge ruled and restored that access. So all the homes in Chicago are back on Zillow now. The CEO of Compass was talking about taking out billboards to tell consumers that their home wasn't on Zillow anymore. I guess to try to get buyers to stop searching on Zillow. It really is interesting. It's a lot of noise to me. I think ultimately the consumer has chosen to search for their home on Zillow. And I think any talk of the industry on doing that, or quote unquote trying to put that genie back in the bottle, you're 10 years late to that fight, and there's even talk about, Google search results are going to compete with Zillow. Actually, most of Zillow's traffic comes from their app. Many homeowners across the United States have downloaded the Zillow app on their phone. And when they decide it's time to look at a house, they open the Zillow app. Zillow's even bypassing Google now for a large percentage of their traffic. Look, the consumer ultimately is in control. The consumer is going to search for homes where they want to search for homes. And as long as nationally the homes are available on all these portals, which again, I think is good for consumers. I don't love the idea of we're having to know, well, in this city, I should search on this site, and in that city, I should search on this site, because we see a lot of people moving across the country. And so all in all, I'm a fan of people knowing how to find houses, not hiding inventory from home buyers. But again, this became less of a thing because all of those listings are now back on Zillow.
Very well said. And to your point, I think it's becoming less of an issue. And it's really noise for us, right? It's always nice to understand what is happening, because you got to be immersed in your industry to really understand and have your kind of bearings about when someone's asking you these type of things, and you want to have an educated response, of course. But I think you put it a couple of weeks ago, you put it into the noise camp. Like, hey, it's good to know what's happening, but don't it distract you from your day to day.
Right. Like zoom out, right? Consumer behavior was not changed. Right. Yes, there were some sellers whose homes fell off of the largest search portal for 2 days. Ultimately, the judge reversed it. Like, that's complete noise to me, right? Two companies are fighting. Homes go dark for 48 hours. Judge puts it all back the way it was. Like, there probably is no better definition than noise around this, And the interesting thing is, even if they do change behavior in, say, one city, if MRED removing the listings from Zillow gets people to stop searching on Zillow in Chicago, what about the rest of the country, right? People in Florida, people in California, people in Texas, if they're moving to Chicago, they're still going to go to Zillow. So I think we really have to put our sellers first. And at this point, the way to put our sellers first is to not get caught up in this noise and make sure we market their home at the absolute highest level possible.
Very well said. Very well said. All right, we're going to move on. We have some exciting news. Last week, you announced that we would be giving away some prizes each week on Motivational Monday. And so today, being Memorial Day, we've got the very first one. It seems like we're always doing some news or some prize on a holiday. So I guess we reward the people who are here. So walk us through our prize for this week?
Yeah, so each week we're drawing from everyone who has already purchased a ticket to FallCon to win a prize through the drawing. This week's prize is what we're calling the behind the stage seat. So for one of the sessions at FallCon, you'll be able to sit on a couch right on the side of the stage there and basically be backstage, get some insider access, this inside seat pass. All right, so drum roll, please. So you know, we drew last Tuesday. Basically, anyone who buys, that's a pretty good drum roll, Dave. So
It was good. It was good.
you buy your ticket today or before today, then you'll be in the drawing when we draw it tomorrow, and then we'll announce next Monday. So this week's winner, let's get the graphic up. And you get your picture on Motivation Monday when you win one of these.
Yeah.
Big congrats to
Congratulations.
Ashley Brockman out of San Antonio, Texas. She was our lucky winner for the inside seat pass. Ashley got her FallCon ticket early, so she was in that drawing. Excited to see her and all of you that have tickets on the road to FallCon coming up in a couple of weeks. So congratulations, Ashley. Looking forward to hanging out with you when you have your inside seat pass during one of those sessions from the stage at FallCon.
Yeah, that's right. Congratulations. And by the way, Dave, great music selection today and sound effects. He's doing a great job. He's killing it back there for us.
I
Awesome.
think we
Okay.
made a slide on next week's prize. Is that right?
We do.
We'll be drawing tomorrow. So anyone who has bought a ticket as of tonight at midnight, we will be picking that tomorrow. So we're going to be some off-market originals, exclusive piece, limited edition batch of FallCon collectibles swag. So we're going to be doing some special FallCon swag just for these off-market originals winners. So next week, we're going to be drawing 3 names that we'll be announcing on Motivation Monday. We'll be showing all 3 of your headshots as long as we can find them in Desi on Motivational Monday, and you will be getting some special one-of-a-kind swag at FallCon, some special merchandise. So make sure you get that ticket, and we'll be drawing tomorrow to be announced next Monday for those winners as well. We're really looking forward to seeing everybody at FallCon this year.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that. And if you are just joining Motivational Monday for the very first time, which is likely because we continue to grow at such a quick pace, FallCon is our annual conference that is coming up. You can find information about that inside of Connect, and you will continue to hear more and more information about that. So we, at the beginning of the show, I said we'll be a little tighter today, obviously being a holiday and Memorial Day. And something that I actually learned, I think maybe about a year or two ago, I would always say Happy Memorial Day because, it's a holiday. There's always sales. People are out, grilling, having fun. And someone who served said, hey, actually, it's not Happy Memorial Day. It's a day of remembrance. It's a day for, people who gave their ultimate sacrifice. And so I was like, oh, I guess I never really thought about the language that I was saying when I said it. So now I just say Memorial Day, but I always used to say Happy Memorial Day. So with that being today, any thoughts that you've got around the holiday and what that means as us, striving for our individual definition of success and having the freedom to do it?
I think one of the things about Motivational Monday is being on a Monday. We've been able to speak with our agents and talk about Memorial Day and some other great holidays. And for me, both my father and grandfather fought. My dad in Vietnam, my grandfather in World War. And so again, I did not lose either one of them. And Memorial Day is about celebrating, or not celebrating, but it's remembering those. And I guess celebrating the achievements, right? Like we do celebrate the fact that all of the freedoms we have, all the amazing opportunities we have, were paid for with that ultimate price of those that we remember today. And while I didn't lose either my father or grandfather, I definitely understand. And my thank you and my heart goes out to all those who did make that ultimate sacrifice, because we don't take that for granted. Everything we do here collectively, you think about the amazing opportunities that we have. I get to come on here every Monday and talk to thousands of people across the country about success, about their individual definition of success, about being entrepreneurs, about building businesses. And all of that is a critical component of our freedom, because there are many countries out there where people do not have those opportunities. They do not have those options. And I think it's important that we do not forget that freedom was paid for with a sacrifice. That freedom was paid for with the blood of those who did pay the ultimate price, so that we can have an individual definition of success, and so that my little girls can grow up and have this vision of a future, and all of us can have this entrepreneur dream because someone made that sacrifice for us. They got up and they went out there and they defended this country at the highest level, and many paid that highest price. And so to me, Memorial Day is one of the most important holidays that we have. It is very foundational to a lot of the things I believe in and how I view the world. And again, shaped by my father and grandfather serving. Veterans Day is another one. Veterans Day, a little more upbeat, and I do get to celebrate the two of them on Veterans Day. But I think Memorial Day is just so important because that sacrifice, I think sometimes maybe we do forget. We live in a world now where war seems far away. Those sacrifices seem far away. We're in the middle of a war right now. We've had folks, giving their life, as recently, as the last couple of months here. And I think it is just so important that we do take that time. And so one of the things I think is really important here that we do have a moment of silence. I'm going to take my hat off. I ask you to please join me as we have a moment of silence here on Motivational Monday for all of those who did pay the ultimate price, for those who are surviving and remember those and gave up that sacrifice. And so if you do have someone that was lost in service to our country, I want to say thank you to you, and I'm sorry for your loss, and thank you to them, because without them, we would not have the freedoms we do. So please join me in a moment of silence here. So I think with that, Matt, I think this is an important point. We cannot take for granted and we cannot squander those freedoms that we are given. We can't take for granted. We can't get lazy. We can't, we have an opportunity. And I think the fact that so many folks did give their lives and they believed in a bigger vision, they believed in a free country, they believed in this amazing United States of America that allows us to be in an amazing profession like real estate, to have an individual definition of success, to help people buy and sell and own real estate. You think about all the countries in the world where home ownership is not a reality. And I think all of that is due to these sacrifices, and why Memorial Day, I think, is so critical when it comes to real estate brokerage, when it comes to housing. I think we are the epitome of what they created, and we have to be so thankful for that and always remember them. But we also have to take, we have to take that and run with it, and we have to be, proud, and we have to recognize our opportunities, because that's what they wanted. They made that sacrifice so that people back home, so that the people could have the freedom. And so I want everyone to think about, are you maximizing those opportunities? Are you taking that freedom that you were given, that freedom that was earned and paid for with the blood of someone who served our country at the highest level that we remember here on Memorial Day? Are you taking that, and are you doing it honor in the way that you interact every day with your clients, with your home buyers, with your home sellers? Because that is such an amazing representation of freedom. Freedom is about the choice, the individual definition of success, the ability to own property. We have all these amazing freedoms in our country. And so again, today, I think is a very special day in our culture at LPT. We've now been together for, I guess this is our 5th Memorial Day together. I think we started Motivation Monday right before it. So we did one very early on. I think this is the 5th Memorial Day that we've been together now. I've done them from the boat, done them from the beach, always take that moment of silence. But I think it is one of the most important remembrances for us as we come together in this industry and as we come together to remember.
That's right. Well, thank you for continuing to guide us on this, and coming together as a family here. And these moments of time, I think, are really special, really kind of shape the culture of who we are, what we're trying to accomplish. So with that being said, I know we're going to cut a little bit early today. Any kind of final thoughts going into this week that we should be thinking about as we head into the last week of the month of May?
Stay safe out there today. I know this is a day where there's a lot of boating and grilling. Last year we had the amazing cookout at the Nest. We did a live Motivational Monday. I was out there, cooking hot dogs and hamburgers for everybody. There's going to be a lot of cookouts. There's going to be a lot of travel, a lot of boating, a lot of fun being had. So stay safe out there, and just don't ever lose the focus. Don't lose the sight on why we're here. What was paid for with that sacrifice, because we do have such amazing opportunities. There is no other country I would want to live in. There is no different opportunity that I would want to have. And I think it really comes down to that sacrifice. And so, it's interesting, as obviously LPT goes global, we've got amazing folks in Canada. We've got amazing folks across the pond in England and now in Portugal. But, for me personally, I'm born here in the United States, born in America, and Memorial Day is very important to me, again, with having a dad and a granddad that served. So go out there, stay safe, be kind to each other, and let's really do honor for those that did pay that price so we could all have a better life.